Can you offer some words of encouragement to the sisters who are married to students of knowledge, as it can become hard to have sabr? Why? And to be thankful to Allah sometimes for the ni'mah, and likewise to the brothers who find it hard to be away from their families while studying. I don't know what really you want me to say, to be honest, except that as it relates to sisters who are married to students of knowledge, then it is obligatory upon you to have sabr, and it is obligatory upon the man to teach something of what he knows of his ilm and what he has benefited from to his wife and to his children. And of course, gratitude, the Muslim generally is always grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the ni'am Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon him of rizq and salafiyah and wives and children and wealth and good health. All of this, we must be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whatever knowledge you possess, brothers or sisters, I always say that even if you can get your children, if you're, you have, we all have busy schedules and busy timetables. But the issue is here that we don't tire with regard to striving, no matter what you do. Our lives can seem sometimes, look how many I'm doing, 30, 40 things a day. How am I going to continue like this? You can. But it requires, certain things that you have to put into place. Timetables and schedules. Times of the day that you're strict upon. Times that you sleep upon, that you're strict upon. Times that you get up that you're strict upon. That you eat your meals that are healthy. That you don't eat. Because health plays a huge part, believe it or not. People don't consider and don't think about their health when it comes to their worldly chores and that which they do on a daily basis. Like, for example, a person says, Akhi, you mentioned all of those things, but by dhuhr time, I just want to go back to sleep. If I don't take a coffee and a donut, I can't survive. All right, so I have to have coffee and just, a person is just getting more and more stimulants into his system. By the time, nighttime comes, he's crushed, and then he feels ill, and then he can't wake up in the morning. And then the children suffer because you want to teach the children, read them something. Study something with them. Sit down and go through a hadith with your wife and children. You find it difficult. So a lot of this really is related to having good health. If a person is strong in body and he's strong in his physical health, then you'll find that his mind is active and he's full of energy. And that really means cutting out a lot of the stuff that a lot of the people are involved in terms of their habits and their eating. So, processed foods, fried foods, high starch foods. A person puts 3 or 4 teaspoons of sugar in his tea, and then he wonders why he's feeling drowsy half an hour later. All right. When he's feeling drowsy, he takes a coffee and then he puts another 3 teaspoons of sugar in there. Then he takes a Coca-Cola with 15 teaspoons of sugar in it. All right, and then he feels a bit hungry. So what does he do? He gets one of those jam pastry kind of things or chocolate donut. All right, and then he wonders why he feels so lethargic and why he can't sit with his children and sit with his wife and go through a book for 20 minutes, half an hour a day. Because that is, to be honest with you, something, even half an hour a day with your children. You just say, right, all of the children, we gather together with the wife and let's just memorize a dua. With its translation, hadith, with its translation, or go through the seerah of Allah's Messenger, half an hour a day. 90% of the people don't do it. With their own children, they won't do it. Why? But you make sure that they're up for school in the morning because you don't want to get into trouble with the law. Right? Mushkila. And as I say, a lot of this, if you were to change your habits, all right, because, simple things, wallahi, simple things. You cut out the garbage, you cut out the junk food, you throw away your deep fat fryer, you stop using vegetable oils, all right? You stop using artificial processed food, you start juicing and drinking green juice, buy a juicer, buy some cabbage, or buy some broccoli and spinach and carrots and apples and juice them. Juice 2 kilos of it and it will come into a bottle that big. Drink that bottle, you just had 2 kilos of all of the goodness of the fruit and veg. All right? Try that for 3 weeks and tell me you don't have energy. Tell me you don't have energy, even if you do that once a day, and tell me you don't have energy. Why? Because these are from the asbab that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. Ibn Qayyim mentions it, Imam al-Dhahabi mentions it, Imam al-Tabari mentions it, Ibn Taymiyyah mentions it. Alright? Because a person says, well, it doesn't matter, when I get ill, I'll go to the doctor and he'll tell me about my health. No. You see, the doctors don't deal with health. They deal with crisis. Because you only go to them when you're in crisis. You don't go to them when you're healthy and say, can you help me with... You say, you're wasting my time. If there's something wrong with you, no, get out. Because they only want to deal, and then they give you a pill, you go home, you feel better because, the pill has taken away the pain, but the underlying illness remains. That lethargy remains. That borderline diabetes remains. That lack of energy to spend with your wives and your children remains. And a huge amount of it, in terms of your physical, strength and ability and vitality and energy, is connected to your diet. Right? Give up fried food. Give up rice. I know that's a horrible thing to say to some of you. Give up rice. Unless it's brown rice. I don't mean make it brown. I mean buy whole brown rice. Alright? And the thing is that, people say, well, I've stopped taking sugar. But having white rice and white flour is like having sugar. As soon as it enters your body, it's sugars. It turns into sugars, glucose and so on. Alright? Because these are the markers of diabetes. And the thing is that as your children get older, you look at older generations, what they would do is, they would eat off the land predominantly. We're talking about 3-4 generations ago. And when you go back to look at your forefathers from the countries that they come from, they eat off the land, they eat natural, but they're burning huge amounts of energy in a day to get to that food. Daily basis. So, eventually they live their lives, they reach their 70s and 80s, no illness. One day, because of their old age, when they're about 90 or close to 100, they go to sleep at night and they don't wake up. But before that, actually, there's no diabetes, no heart disease, no cancers, nothing. All right? Now, people at 45 getting, type 1, type 2 diabetes, heart disease by the age of 50, swollen ankles and rheumatoid arthritis in the joints because the drugs that they give you, those are some of the side effects. All right? You can't concentrate. Your children aren't learning under you. You can't keep active. You have all types of illnesses. And then they say, well, it doesn't matter because you're living longer. But what kind of life is that? For the next 20 years, you're just on drugs and hospital appointments, and your teeth are falling out and your eyes are going yellow, and your children are running off and you can't even keep up with them, and you're in a walking stick by the age of 55, and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were in jihad at 55 and 60. So really, to be honest with you, my brothers, there is an important position in terms of health and vitality and mental energy that we as Salafis need to give focus to, because to sit in durus, to get through the lives that we have to live, requires that you pay focus and pay attention to your health, to your obesity. Obesity is epidemic. Childhood obesity is an epidemic. Childhood diabetes is an epidemic in the Western world. They say that this is the first generation where the children would live a shorter life than their parents. That's never really happened before. Because our generations have gone by, the next generation lives longer because healthcare and environments that you're living in and nice houses and so on. But now, because we're living in the Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Burger King generation, can't go past one until I grab one. All right? Any wedding that you go to, it is 7-Up, Coca-Cola, and Allahu Alam what other fizzy pop is there. All right? And this is just, you're just feeding sugars into your bodies. All right? Then when something hits you, you say, it's okay, the doctor will resolve it. And all of us know people who go to the doctor and they tell the doctor, there's a lump or there's some pain, and he looks at it and he says it's a cancer. So they diagnose it as cancer. Then you follow their scheme, and then eventually your body just weakens, your weight drops, and then eventually that person dies, because cancer is a Western epidemic, which is, of course, exported to the rest of the world through processed food and drugs and pollution and so on. But this is something that the scholars have spoken about in detail. You think that this is something that is new, and did the Salaf speak about it? They spoke about it in detail. Ibn al-Qayyim, At-Tabari, Imam al-Dhahabi, they spoke about it. Imam al-Sa'di, rahimahullah, spoke about it in detail, about the importance of maintaining health. That you do, like Ibn al-Qayyim gives guidelines. Don't eat another meal up until the first meal is digested. How many people do that? They eat a meal, their belly's still full, but they'll take another one. Right? They'll walk past the shop and they'll say, I've just had a meal, but I think I'll get a can of Coke and some crisps or a Mars bar. It's not needed, but you'll take it. Right? And you've just pumped into your body something like 25 teaspoons or 30 teaspoons of sugar by a Mars bar and a fizzy pop. Right? And then you wonder where the illnesses are coming from, where the cancers are coming from. Because we don't take the asbab, we don't take the means that Allah has given us, rather we take the means that causes harm. Right? And then we believe that these treatments that the doctors, they give us, that they are treatments. But doctors are in essence drug pushers, right? Because in essence, they're not taught nutrition, they're taught drug therapy. That's what doctors are taught. That's why you'll never go to a doctor with cancer and he'll tell you, don't worry, just take high dose vitamin C, juice your, take green juice, and take some Zamzam water. A doctor will never say that. If he does that, they'll strike him off. He's no longer a doctor in the UK. So what I'm saying is to the brothers that, the dawah and the way that you become active and that you can cope with all of these things in your life is by taking the means. And from those means, of course, is maintaining good health. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said that anyone who says that the cure is only in one thing, that if an illness arises, that the cure is only in one direction. He said he's the most ajhalun nas, the most ignorant of people. And he should not be given the title of physician, of tabib. Shouldn't be given that title. But that's what you find now. You got illness, okay, there's one route, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, this is the cancer treatment. Right? We'll cut it, we'll burn it. So either they'll cut it out or they'll burn it with radiotherapy, or they'll toxify you. Right? They'll pollute you and toxify your liver and kill you through chemotherapy. Right? And they say, this is the only route. There is no other route. If you don't do this, then you're going to die. Say, anta kadhab. Ruqya cures. Does it not? Tell the doctor that inshallah we'll take some spit, read Surah Fatiha upon the bite of a scorpion, and inshallah it'll cure it. They'll put you in a 4x4 room in a straitjacket. Right? Because they're not accepting that from you. That's what Ibn Taymiyyah mentions. Because they don't understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up routes of cure from many different directions. From the Tibb al-Nabawi, from Zamzam, from the ajwa, from the black seed, from the fresh milk that comes directly from the udders of a cow. For indeed, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that in the milk of the baqar, there is a cure for every illness, because it feeds upon every type of greenery and shrubbery, the cow. Alright? This is the cow, the milk of the cow. Alright? Now, if a person has illness, urine, you tell the doctor, listen, you got cancer, don't worry, I don't need your chemotherapy, I'm going to go to Saudi or go to one of those places, speak to a natural doctor, and inshallah I'll have some urine of a camel. I say, what are you talking about? You're going to have urine of a camel. You got cancer, you're going to drink camel's urine? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed cure in things. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned it. But even other than that, experience. Someone came to Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Baz, rahimahullah, and they said, yes, Sheikh, we have a well in our village in the Jaziratul Arab, in the Arabian Peninsula. And from that well, the people, they bring their children and their sick ones who have skin ailments like eczema and, various types of skin ailments, and they wash them in the water from that well, and their skin, over a few days, the eczema goes. Yeah, Shaykh, some of the people have said to us, don't go there because this is something from the trickery, and this is from the affairs of similar to superstition and so on, from the khurafat and so on. Shaykh Abdul Aziz bin Baz said, La abadan. He said, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed a cure in that well to the exclusion of other wells, and experience has shown you that it cures, go there and take from it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up ways and pathways. That's why Ibn al-Qayyim in Tibb al-Nabawi, he doesn't just talk about Tibb al-Nabawi. He talks about other types of medicine outside of the prophetic medicine. Medicines where you can combine herbs, you can combine vegetables, you can eat certain types of fruit and greenery. Certain, like Imam Sa'adi mentions, that you may have to leave your environment and go open into the countryside to breathe the fresh air, and that will aid you. He talks about expelling, bodily fluids, either through vomiting or through stools, so that the expulsion of the bad things are removed from the body. So the Muslim, barakallahu feekum, to really comprehend the affair of our lives, because some people try to just package Salafiyah or our da'wah. You just come to dars, go home. No, it's not. You know that your life revolves around how many responsibilities: work, study, children, wife, money, bills, duroos, classes, conferences, petrol in the car, how many things. All of them, barakallahu, you have to focus upon all of them. You have to focus, your parents, right? Your grandparents, your brothers, your sisters. This is how the Salafi, the life is toil. Welcome to Salafiyah, welcome to Islam. Welcome to, humanity. This is reality. Running away from it or ignoring it and not taking, I'm just going to sit in the masjid and my wife can just claim the dole and sign on every week and we'll just get some money from the government. This is not our way. We work and we work hard. We earn our wealth and we feed our families. Barakallahu feekum. With regard to these questions, with regard to sisters, as I said, no doubt, I'm not going to read the question because maybe it's a bit explicit, but nevertheless, that the issue with regard to brothers and sisters in terms of marital relations, sisters need to be patient and brothers need to be patient with their spouses. In terms of marital relations, meaning intimate relations, and you need to be patient with each other. That you help each other, ta'awan between the husband and the wife. That they work with each other, that they are patient with each other. It's not enough to say, well, she doesn't satisfy me anymore. He doesn't satisfy me anymore. Khalas, we're going to move on to the next. This is not. Barakallah. Societies aren't built like this. Families aren't built like this. Built with sabr and patience, kindness and goodness. If there is a weakness in your wife, look for that. Or if you see something that displeases you, as the Prophet ﷺ said, then look for something that gives you pleasure. Look for something that is good in her. Likewise with the wife. If you see something, okay, he's not in this field, I'm not happy with him. Look for khair in him. Right? You have to be patient with each other. Barakallahu feekum. Be patient with each other.